Boromir from Lord of the Rings, but that'd be a commentary for another day. Boromir is the most compelling character of the entire Fellowship. Why do I say this? Well, it seems there are some out there who may feel that Boromir is like a bad dude.
Look how ready you are to betray me. Boromir. I don't know who the fuck that is. I don't know who Boromir is. That's such a Boromir thing to say.
In a previous video I created covering the Fellowship of the Ring, I explained that the Fellowship works because the Fellowship fails. In a similar way, Boromir is the most compelling character because Boromir is the most flawed character. Considering the extended version of Fellowship has but only the second half of the film to flesh out the character of Boromir and for every one of his scenes to contribute perfectly to both his character arc and to the story is truly impressive.
I heard her voice inside my head. She spoke of my father and the fall of Gondor. She said to me, "Even now there is hope left."
Of the three would-be Fellowship members who arrive at Rivendell, Boromir is the only one to have a scene before the Council of Elrond, sharing a brief interaction with Aragorn. Boromir knows pretty much nothing about who this guy is, aside from the fact that he is a friend of Gandalf the Grey.
You are no elf?
The men of the South are welcome here. Who are you? I am friend to Gandalf the Grey.
Boromir then notices the Shattered Narsil, a legendary weapon which once belonged to an ancient Gondorian king. Gondor is the country Boromir is from. Additionally, he is the son of Denethor. Denethor is the steward of Gondor, effectively like a king, but lacking the actual title of king. So in a sense, Boromir is kind of like a prince, or at the very least a high-ranking noble. While inspecting the broken sword, Aragorn stares intently at Boromir, which he clearly does not like. This is because Boromir knows little about who this random guy is and essentially looks down on him. This is reinforced when at the Council of Elrond he is quick to dismiss Aragorn's interjection.
Give Gondor the weapon of the enemy. Let us use it against him.
You cannot wield it. None of us can.
And what would a ranger know of this matter?
This is no mere ranger. He is Aragorn, son of Arathorn. You owe him your allegiance.
Much to Boromir's surprise, this man he met earlier is the rightful king of Gondor. This is unsettling to Boromir because he realizes that a man he first looked down upon actually outranks him. He is humbled but refuses to accept this humility, rejecting the very idea that Gondor needs a king at all.
Gondor has no king. Gondor needs no king.
In this moment, Boromir becomes philosophically inconsistent, which is interesting. He clearly admired the Shattered Narsil earlier and is well educated about his nation's history. Likely he longs for the real king of Gondor to arise, but is displeased to discover the rightful living king has lived a life as a mere ranger. Throughout the entire film trilogy, aside from Sauron and Isildur, there are only 6 characters who ever hold the ring. Déagol, Gollum, Bilbo, Frodo, Boromir briefly, and Sam. All of these characters are seduced by the ring in some capacity. Even Sam hesitates to give it back to Frodo. Characters that come into close contact with the ring don't do so well either. Gandalf is afraid of it, Aragorn is afraid of it, Galadriel can't handle it, Faramir is tempted by it. Putting all of this into consideration, Boromir's actions and behaviors start to make sense and become understandable, possibly even justifiable.
Long has my father, the steward of Gondor, kept the forces of Mordor at bay. By the blood of our people are your lands kept safe.
Boromir is a Gondorian veteran. He is heavily influenced by his father to provide security for the people of Gondor. Boromir is well aware the threat of Mordor, and as such, Boromir has reasonable fears and doubts.
My father is a noble man, but his rule is failing. And our people lose faith. He looks to me to make things right, and I would do it.
Aside from Boromir's worrisome nature and genuine concerns, oftentimes Boromir also speaks as a voice of reason.
We cannot stay here! This will be the death of the Hobbit!
Give them a moment, for pity's sake!
Gandalf's death was not in vain. Nor would he have you give up hope. You carry a heavy burden, Frodo. Don't carry the weight of the dead.
Gollum. He has tracked us since Moria.
And if he alerts the enemy to our whereabouts, it will make the crossing even more dangerous. Strike out for Mordor from a place of strength.
There is no strength in Gondor that can avail us.
Have you so little faith in your own people? Yes, there is weakness, there is frailty, but there is courage also, and honor to be found in men. But you will not see that.
Not only are Boromir's observations and criticisms usually valid and reasonable, but he also even gets a few comedic beats, playing a sort of comedic cynicism.
One does not simply walk into Mordor. This is no mine. It's a tomb.
They have a cave troll.
A huge complaint put against Boromir is that he eventually attacks Frodo and tries to steal the ring. Now I admit that's bad. Even my own gut reaction is scumbag. However, when you stop for a moment to put things into perspective, Boromir is struggling against two extremely heavy sources of influence. 1. The unimaginable pressure put on him by his father to secure the ring in the hopes of ensuring his nation's survival. That fact alone would drive the most of us mad, if you quite literally felt that the fate of your entire nation is somehow dependent upon securing a magical evil ring, which leads right into point number 2. The ring is evil. The ring is so evil it even has a magical evil little whisper which tries to lure you to it. Moreover, when you consider Boromir's misbehavior in the broader scheme of the trilogy, you realize that even Frodo is unable to resist the temptation of the ring. Additionally, Boromir is seduced by the ring's evil and attacks Frodo, but very quickly he comes to his senses and immediately feels remorse.
Frodo!
If you listen closely, you can even hear Boromir call out to Frodo as he is running away. One of the best characters to think about in comparison to Boromir is that of Lando Calrissian from Star Wars.
Hello, what have we here?
You see, Boromir suffers from what may be called the Lando Calrissian effect.
This deal is getting worse all the time.
Which is where a complex character is demonized for their actions committed against the protagonist.
I had no choice. They arrived right before you did. I'm sorry.
When the Lando effect is in effect, people are quick to forget the rising actions and difficult decisions that have led to betrayal.
The Empire got there first, and he had a whole city of people to protect.
The act of betrayal is also rather distasteful. After all, it is considered to be one of the worst sins a human can commit. In Dante's Inferno, the last ring of hell is reserved for those who betray others. Interestingly, both Boromir and Lando betray the protagonist in the hopes of saving the lives of their people.
I ask only for the strength to defend my people. If you would but lend me the ring.
No.
Doing a bad thing to accomplish a good thing is not moral, but it is justifiable. Also, in the rare instance that the opposite occurs, people still lose their minds. What do I mean by this? Well, when the character refuses to do a bad thing to accomplish a good thing, once again the audience is quick to demonize that action.
We are all of us what we do.
An example of this is Balian from Kingdom of Heaven, who refuses to abandon his morality when he refuses to indirectly murder the antagonist.
There'll be a day when you will wish you had done a little evil to do a greater good.
His moral action directly leads to thousands of people dying. The same could be said of Ned Stark from Game of Thrones. People are frustrated that Ned Stark is honorable. In fact, he is too honorable, to the point of his honor being an obvious weakness.
We only make peace with our enemies, my lord. That's why it's called making peace.
No. I won't do it.
Once again, people condemn Ned Stark's decisions because he refuses to do bad things to accomplish good things. Getting back to Boromir, by the end of the film, Boromir is deeply troubled by his misbehavior and still haunted by his own fears. Following his interaction with Frodo, he soon sacrifices himself for Frodo's companions. He attempts to fight off a massive horde of Uruk-hai, but is ultimately unsuccessful. As he lay dying, his cynicism is overwhelming. He feels his failures are representative of the failures of humanity at large, and has completely lost faith in himself and in humanity.
Forgive me. I did not see. I have failed you all.
No, Boromir. You fought bravely.
It is over. The world of men will fall.
I do not know what strength is in my blood, but I swear to you, I will not let the White City fall. Nor our people fail.
Our people. Our people.
Thankfully, Aragorn puts Boromir's fear and failure to rest, assuring him that he fought bravely, and promises not to let Gondor fall or humanity fail.
I would have followed you, my brother. My captain. My king.
Aragorn's reassurance renews Boromir's faith, hope, and honor. Through Aragorn's defiance and commitment, Boromir finally accepts Aragorn's position as his rightful leader, something he was unwilling to acknowledge for most of the story. His arc is completed, and he dies a hero.
In peace, son of Gondor.
They will look for his coming from the White Tower, but he will not return.
So if ever you're talking with someone about Boromir, consider going out on a limb and saying something like, yeah, he's underrated.
I just want to be clear here. I'm not saying Lando's perfect, but who is, am I right? Saved Leia and Chewie when Vader altered the deal, right? Went undercover for months in Jabba's palace to save Han. Blew up the second Death Star with the Pancake Kid. I'm a f***ing hero, man!